Hi everybody, welcome to this Java tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at counting. I am going to bore you and start from the very beginning. I'm going to create a new file called Java project. This is going to be the counting project. And notice I don't put any spaces in my project names. I recommend to stay away from spaces. Now that I've got my counting project folder set up, I've got an empty source folder. Let's create my first class file. Yes, a Java project can have more than one class file, as you will see if you continue to study Java. This is where I'm going to store my main function. So I usually call this class file my main class file with a capital M. Okay, today we're going to we're going to design a function, and I'm going to call it public static void count long words. And what this function is going to do, it's going to allow the user to enter 10 words, and it's going to count how many of them have a length greater than 5. Okay? So that's really what we're going to do. Okay, so let's get started. Because we're entering words from the keyboard, I am going to import java.util.scanner. I'm in my count long words. I'm going to declare and initialize a scanner variable, which will help me communicate with the keyboard. This is the code for that. If you're still not sure about it, keep working with it, keep practicing using it, and it just gets super easy. Okay, so I've now got a variable of type scanner which will communicate with my keyboard and pass anything from the keyboard into variables in my program. I need to declare a variable that will grab the word from the scanner helper variable. This is going to store the word for me. And I also need to set up a variable to store the count. And like a computer game, when we're counting or scoring, we need to initialize that variable to a value. So at the start of my program, the count is going to be equal to 0. I could do all of that on one line of code, because I know it immediately that count will be assigned a variable of 0. So let's just do it like that. Declare and initialize. Okay? Now we are going to be doing something 10 times. So there is the syntax of a for loop, which is a pretty convenient way of doing this. Now what are we going to be doing? Ask for a word, enter the word, evaluate the word. These are the three things that this for loop is going to do. So let's ask for a word. Enter a word. And then let's enter the word. So I'm going to use my string variable here to grab whatever my scanner gives me. Okay? So word is going to grab whatever line of text the scanner gives me. We're going to grab it into my program, from the keyboard into my program variable word. Okay? Now we're going to evaluate this word, this text from the keyboard. If word.length is greater than 5, we're going to count. Remember, count starts at 0. So basically we're going to add 1 to count. We're going to add 1 to count and assign that result back to count. Right? We're using one variable which is going up in steps of 1. This is how to count in most computer programming languages that I've experienced, such as Python, C, PHP, etc. So have a think about that line of code. This is counting in Java. Now our for loop is going to do all of that 10 times, and when it's finished, let's have a look at some output. You entered count words which have a length greater than 5. Now to speed up testing, I'm not going to run this 10 times, I'm just going to run it 5 times. And I'm going to assume if it works 5 times, it should work 10 times. Now let me just make sure I've got all my curly brackets sorted out here. Where does my count long words function finish? Down there. So let's just bring that up a little bit. We'll delete all these empty lines. Good. That's my, let's just do a quick check. So that's a nice way to do a check. You can see that main starts there. There don't seem to be any outstanding brackets anywhere. Count long words starts there. There are no outstanding brackets anywhere. That looks good. And my main function starts there and finishes there. Sorry, my main class. So it looks like I've got all my brackets sorted out properly. So let's test this and see if it works. Nothing is happening. Oh, I've designed my function, but I haven't called it from the starting point of every Java program, which is the main function. So let's call this function. Done. Let's run it again. Enter a word. Cat, dog, rat, elk, yak. You entered 0 words, which have a length greater than 5. So that's one test. It looks like it's working. Let's do it again. Rat, elk, yak, dog. There's 4 words. The count is still 0. Let's enter snake. Snake has 5 characters. The length is 5. 5 is greater than 5. That's false. So when I've hit enter, we've still got 0. Yes, it works. And let's just do one final test with a mix of words. There's 1, still 1, still 1, 2, should be 2. And that is an introduction to counting, not just in Java, but in most computer programming languages.